Frank, great to have you here joining us. First time I think we've met, but I didn't recognize the name of the company. You're now Nord Precious Metals Mining, but you used to be Canada Silver Cobalt Works Inc. Why'd you change the name?
Well, we have a lot of investors that said, look, Frank, market's going to change. Precious metals eventually going to start run. So either you become a precious metal company or a battery metals company that says, okay, I got a solution for everybody. We're going to just be high grade silver gold. And so we call ourselves Nord Precious Metals. And we spun out our greatest value asset for battery metals, which we call the Graal project, into another company called Coniagas, which the shareholders got a dividend, which is a share and a warrant. We've done this before, very lucrative for the shareholders of Nord. It's usually done over a 3-year time frame. For some reason, the exchange doesn't let us do it in one shot because they feel somebody will take us over. I'd be happy to take us over, but the reality is we've done this before. Last time we did it, we kind of gave about $16 million in dividends over 3 years. So it's extremely lucrative for the shareholders of Nord.
Okay, so I do want to come back to that project, but your more recent project in Sweden, I think, is more exciting over the short term. What do you think?
Yeah, the thing is, like finding a property like the one in Sweden, they're really, really hard to find. Number one, the grades are astronomical, and we look at the history of Sweden. Apparently, quite the country for developing mining projects. The grade, they took a sample. There's a whole bunch of other numbers in there as well. There was quite a few samples. But what struck me about the high-grade gold samples, there's a lot of what we call rare earths in it. And one of the most valuable rare earths is the one they use in EV magnets. And you have to forgive me if I say it wrong, but it's a thing called dysprosium or something like that. Apparently, the only people that really produce it and control it is the Asian market. So without these rare earths, and it's quite high grade, it's a combination of three metals in there. It's about 25% of the sample, and if it's really there, it really changes the equation for this mine. So we make the money on the gold. It's the same thing like we're doing up here in Northern Ontario at the Castle Leaf project. Primary metal, silver, we can sell at any time, and it comes with the cobalt and the nickel and the copper and the arsenic. Apparently, that's a critical metal for the Americans. So in other words, we can make money on the silver. I know we can make money on the silver because I used to work for Agnico in a camp, and they've been. You look at them now; they're like a $40 billion company, but they started here in the cobalt camp, only silver, and they threw away all the cobalt. So the potential is quite great between Castle East and hopefully this project. We have an option to acquire it if the grades are there and if the rare earths are there. It's a wonderful, wonderful project. We're basically getting it for next to nothing when you look at the terms that we have to meet.
It's like eating roast beef and then putting gravy on top of it. That's the real difference there. I do want to talk about Castle East too, because the latest results had something called an all-star zone. I don't know what that is. Can you explain that?
Well, what we did was we drilled according to the structure that our geologists, what I call the dream team, found, and we were getting grades up to 89,000 grams a ton silver. Silver only, not equivalent. We didn't add anything else to it. Then we get numbers of 50,000 grams, 75,000 grams, following this model that the geologists developed. So we said, okay, let's do a little exploratory drilling. So we drilled through another mine of ours, which was called the Capital Mine, and we thought it was mined out. So we actually drilled right through the slope, eh? And we hit two structures. I said, son of my gun, that mine must have been really high grade because they left this behind. They must have known it's there, but it came back at 4 to 5,000 grams a ton silver. So we thought, well, it's 500 meters from where we are now. Maybe we have to sort of like revise our model. That shouldn't have been there. Two reasons why it should have been mined by the previous operators. So you think about the grades they mined, and these mines are some are 80, 100 years old. To leave that behind, which is really, really amazing. So, we have multiple mines on our property. We mostly focus on the Castle mine, and of course, we drilled our underground, found all kinds of structures they left behind, but nothing in a 4 to 5,000 grams a ton. So it could be that this Capital mine was mined prior to the mining going on at the Castle mine, and they left a lot of high grade behind. So it's possible. We kind of outlined a 30,000-meter drill program. The previous program, we did about 60,000 meters. We found multiple structures, which really we should follow up and then, see what we can really get here. But primary metal is silver, but the real value, and I know a lot of people have a hard time understanding this, and the geologists named the town Cobalt. The real value to the whole camp is the cobalt, not the silver. So even when I joined Agnico, they used to throw it away. And, we went back. I said, look, we can recover this, which we did. And, we dug up everything they threw in the bush. And at that time, it was $52 million of cobalt they threw away in the mid 80s, $52 million worth of cobalt. That's going back decades. What it would be worth today, maybe a quarter billion or more.
It's a changing world, Frank, these days.
Yeah.
Talk about changes. Talk to me about this spinout. You mentioned it, the Coniagas spinout and the Graal property that's associated. So do you have issues with, and I know you've done some work with cobalt sulfide up there. Do you have any issues with jurisdiction or processing or manufacturing?
Well, here's the thing. When we first started this, we do what we call real time. We do everything at the same time. See, most people do a drill program, get a 43-101, do a PEA, PFS, and all this. We do all that. But what we do is we say, let's find a buyer for our product. So we went all over the world, went all over Asia. We met with the Japanese, we met with Sumitomo, we met with Nissan, we met with the Chinese, and we met everybody, even the South Koreans. Actually, they came to Canada. We met them in Toronto, and they're all looking for cobalt, all of them. And I was surprised. Even the Chinese admitted that we don't have enough cobalt, and you can't take it out of the lithium-ion battery. So I said, okay, what do you need? So they gave us the spec sheets. You go to Asia, they give you the specs within 2 weeks. They give you terms within even a shorter time frame. So we produced a product, the cobalt sulfate, for them on spec for the Japanese market. We met with Sumitomo in Japan more than once, and yes, they're interested. Because we can meet what we call on spec. We have a process called Re2Ox. It was something we developed when I was at Agnico. We spent $8 million over 6 years, and we can produce on spec, which is really critical. Anybody can make it the cobalt content, but it's the impurities that are in there. So we met all the impurities, we met all their specs, and then we found out after we went to get all these spec sheets from everybody else, they're all different. Everybody wants a certain amount of something in it. And, they want a certain amount of cobalt in it, and then they also want a certain amount of iron and zinc and all these other things in it. So we can produce the product. It's a hydrometallurgical process, zero discharge, very green, and it's a very, what we call, low-tech, high-sophistication process. In other words, you can take this plant and stick it in the desert, and you can train some guy that's carrying water, and he could be running that plant within 3 months. It's a really low-tech process. It was designed like that intentionally, and we were using, actually at that time, we took over a plant that had wooden tanks, and we were able to use what I call a low-tech plant. And at that time, we're producing cobalt carbonate for cattle feed from a wooden plant. The plant was wooden, the tankage was wooden, pipes were steel. But like I said, low-tech, high sophistication, and you can easily produce product.
And are you drilling at the same time? Do you have a drilling program in place?
What we're trying to do right now is we have to decide which direction we really want to go. What happened was when we came to the camp, nobody was interested in the camp. We paid $25,000 for our property. And when we started hitting those high grades, our next door neighbor's property, which actually our mineralization goes to the property, wants $5 million. Somebody else wants to sell me another property for 75% position, $23 million. Basically, we could have gotten probably all of Cobalt for under $1 million. Now these properties they're astronomical. They're just because there is value in the camp. What they did here, even when I was with Agnico, no high tech approach. So their approach was, if we see it, we mine it. When we stop seeing it, we go somewhere else. There was no what we call modern ways of looking at things, and nobody had a model. Nobody said, "Oh, just old school, let's do it. And you think about it, at that time, they were pouring 1.6 million ounces of silver a year by visual mining. Unbelievable, just
Wow.
unbelievable. You
Well,
know.
Frank, great stories. Thank you so much. I look forward to future interviews.
Well, thanks a lot, Pat. Hopefully, I addressed all your concerns, and hopefully, like I said, if the investors have multiple questions, we do run a forum. It's called Crucible. You can find it on our website. We have a lot of people on it now, and it's kind of a everybody has these billboards or forums or whatever, and they all say, look, why don't you just talk to the president? They have their own forum, and we tell it like it is. The good, the bad, and the ugly. You get it right from us, and we found that works quite well.
It does work well. Frank, thanks so much for your time.
Very good. Thank you very much, Pat, and have a wonderful day.
You too.